Some people are like, I am a TJ person. I'm an LJ person. Some people are like JK. I want a 2-door. I want a 4-door. They might be a JK, a JKU person, a JL, a JLU person. They might love the Gladiators and the JTs. So there's all this difference within the same, right? They're all Jeeps. They're different ages. And within those different ages, there's different options, right? So not only do you have the people who love the older generations, like I love my YJ because that's not just because, but I love that it has square headlights. So it's different. I will tell you, I have had a lot of conversations, and there's a lot of people that are like, oh, well, it's square headlights, it's not really a Jeep, yada, yada. Whatever. People will say things, right? But what matters is how we feel about the Jeep we have, right? Because we love it for a reason. And for that reason, you see this huge spectrum, right? And you'll get people who will be like, I love the older generations. I am all about the older generations, those CJs, then those YJs. And it might be, I'm all about the new generation, but I'm a 2-door person, or I'm a 4-door person, or I'm the Gladiator person because I want the bed. So there's all these differences. And then even within the different generations, there were different options, right? You could get a Sport, you could get a Rubicon, you could get a Sahara. There's all these different things within those as well, right? So if you look across the board and said, all right, these are all Jeeps, but there's differences within them, right? And not one is better than the other because they're all amazing and they're all still a Jeep. It's personal preference at that point, right? The uniqueness, like I love the square headlights. That is something that is different. And it could be an automatic versus a manual. When you start looking, there's so many choices and options and differences, but nothing is better than the other, right? Because they all are amazing. They're all beautiful. They are incredible. They can go out and do things that we never thought possible. They can take us places that we wouldn't get to go to if we didn't have a 4-wheel drive, right? We get to put the top back. We get to go experience things because of that. Well, I heard a comment made. I don't see her on here, so I'm hoping she won't kill me. I'm not going to use a name, but this really hit me, right? And I thought about it actually after we left on the way home. And for some reason, it stuck with me. And so I felt like, because it did, I had to bring this forward to all of you because I feel like it's so fitting with when we talk about how Jeep lessons are life lessons. So if we look at that as a whole, right? We as women are women, right? And there's all these different choices within there. We're all different. We're all unique. It could be some of us are the older generation. Some are the newer. There's 2-doors and there's 4-doors and there's Sports and there's Rubicons and there's Saharas and there's all these things, right? And they're all different. Then you have different tire sizes, all these things. So what if we took a step back for a minute and looked at ourselves as a whole in that same idea, right? No Jeep is better than another one because they're all amazing and they're all Jeeps. They all can do these amazing things. They're beautiful, they're unique, and they're special, just like every single one of you. And none are the same. And there's so many different choices and so many different options. And it's about when we go to pick a Jeep, right? There's no right or wrong. It's us. What we love, right? Or what someone else loves that moves them to pick which Jeep they want. No right or wrong, right? And we all love our Jeep. We have attachment to our Jeep. There's that draw there. The comment was made, I'm really quirky. And in kind of the context of, I'm kind of quirky. So maybe it can be hard for people to love all those aspects. And my comment back was, we are all quirky. We're just all quirky in our own way. We all have our own stuff. We have our likes and our dislikes and those habits that we have, the way we think about things, look at things, feel about things. None of us are the same. but we all have our own stuff, period, period, because we're all different. Just like if you looked at the Jeep as a whole with all those different choices, we're the same way, right? We all have what makes us unique and special. And sometimes it is those little differences. Maybe some people want to call them a quirk, but those are the differences that make us so different and unique and special. And when you're bringing that forward, I want you to just think for a minute. I know sometimes the way we feel inside is so different than what we're putting out, right? So we might look at something as like, oh, I have this habit and I do it all the time. I'm a big hands person, right? I talk with my hands. They're moving. They're doing all sorts of stuff all the time. Okay? Well, instead of me sitting here going, okay, I shouldn't talk with my hands. I need to keep my hands quiet. What does that look like to someone else? Does that bother somebody? Is that a bad habit? Is that, what are people thinking when I'm doing that? Instead of going to that place, right, maybe that's something that we internalize because how we view some of those things that make us different, we might be like, oh, I have this bad habit. I do this thing that bothers people. Or, oh, I feel so awkward because I know I have these habits that I'm doing, or this way that I talk, or this mannerism, or how I feel about something, or I am really focused on certain things. I'm very passionate about certain things, but how does that come off to other people? We start to internalize that, right? And we might start to call it these quirks that we have. And then we might try to analyze those and say, how does that look to someone else? How does that make someone else feel? And then you might start to say, because of this, people are going to look at me this way. Because of this, it's hard for me to go out and feel comfortable around people because of this. So we're looking at it from inside. But yet, if we can let some of that go and remember that some of those quirks are what make you so unique and so special. And that even though it may be hard sometimes, like internalizing inside, like, oh, I know when I do this, I'm sure people are going to think this about me, right? Or they're going to notice that I have this thing that I do, or this way that I feel about something, or how I react. Maybe it's this is 100% me. I shouldn't say used to, I still feel extremely socially awkward 100% of the time. Even if when you're at an event with me, like when we go to dinner, you might notice I don't always go to dinner. And it's not because I don't want to go spend time with you, amazing ladies. Sometimes I do have to refuel, but sometimes I am inner struggling a little bit too with some of my own social anxiety that then creates this feeling inside of me of being socially awkward. Like I'm going to say the wrong thing. I am going to use the wrong words. No one's going to want to hear what I have to say. All of those things, right? So then because of that, sometimes I will sit there silently. And when I was younger, like in my 20s, I was told that I came off as like snotty and all of these things. So then I carried that with me forward of like, oh, people judge me because I'm quiet. What they don't realize is I'm not sitting here judging other people. I'm not sitting here being snotty. I was called lots of choice cuss words. I was told that, like, could you just be nice to everyone when you meet them? And I'm like, what do you mean? I'm always nice to everyone. And they're like, no, you kind of sit there and make people feel. So I took all that with me, right? And it took me years to work through that, years of being aware of. I internalized all that. And then my social anxiety and feeling so awkward in social situations, like you can hear me, I still stutter with my words sometimes, is what it is, right? I just move on. Doesn't even bother me anymore. But it took a long time to get there, right? And to let go of, if I'm sitting here quietly because I have anxiety and I feel really awkward, people are then going to assume all these things about me. So then because I have this quirk, this way that I act, then all these people are going to view me as something. But you know what's interesting? As I've gotten older, I've done so much self work, which is what I try to always bring forward to you amazing ladies because it changed my life. But, all of a sudden it was this idea of, but everyone doesn't feel that way. And that is what I wanted to share with you today. This idea of we internalize our quirks and then we think people view it a specific way, right? And usually it's in a negative way of, somebody's not going to like me because of this. This is going to make someone else feel weird because I do this. People are going to look at me and think I'm crazy because I do this. Whatever it may be. Someone isn't going to want to be friends with me because I have these 5 things I do all the time. I have a really, really amazing friend who I've been friends with for so long. I love her so much. And she struggles with OCD. And I know I've had these conversations with her of like, oh, I just don't feel like I can go out and be around people because, if they notice I touch my door handle and check it after I lock my vehicle like 5 times. Or, she has some rituals that she does. And that's what makes her her though, right? And we had that conversation and she's like, "Oh, people are going to think I'm weird. People are going to think I have issues. People are going to look at me and be like, okay, I don't want to be friends with her." All these things. I was like, "But why?" Because how you feel about it and how someone else sees it is so different. So sometimes we internalize, beat ourselves up, make judgments about those things that are unique to us. That's really what makes us us is those things. Because again, just like the Jeeps in a hole, there's so many choices, so many differences. Not one is better than the other. They're all amazing, right? So you have to look at it that way that we wouldn't want every single Jeep from the start of the Jeep to 2023 models to all be identically the same. That wouldn't appeal to everyone. That wouldn't be fun, right? The fun part is getting to say like, "Ooh, I want a 2-door. I want a 4-door. Oh, I think I want one with square headlights." That's part of what makes it fun, right? Because it is different and unique. But at the end of the day, they're all amazing and they all can perform the same. So, my challenge for you this week, why I'm sharing this with you for our cup of coffee with Kristin today, is I want you to kind of be aware of that. Bring awareness to what you're thinking. And I want you to start thinking to yourself, this is what makes people excited to be around me. This is what makes people enjoy what makes me so different. This is why people want to spend time with me. And instead of saying that this makes me different, or I do things so differently than someone else, or all of those things we go to in our mind, and then we internalize inside ourselves. I want you to work on cut that off. And when you start to think that, right? Like, I'm going to say the wrong thing. No one's going to want to spend time around me. No one's going to want to hear what I have to say. Whatever those things might be, I want you to say, you know what? Nope. This is what makes me me. And this is what makes the people who genuinely care about me, who genuinely want to be around me, who genuinely love me, have those feelings towards me, right? And just remember, we are amazing. We're different, just like all of those Jeeps. There's no right or wrong or better or worse or any of that. We put all that on ourselves. We bring that forward of how we're feeling about that, but that's not how other people see you. So those things you want to beat yourself up for, those quirks, those things you do differently. Remember that is how you feel about it. But from someone outside looking in, that is what makes you you. That is what makes you special. That is what makes the people who want to be around you want to be around you, who want to spend time with you and share those moments. So just remember that as we are going through this week. I feel like that is such an important piece as we're moving in, right? Regrowth, rebirth, time to refocus on ourselves, how we speak to ourselves, how we treat ourselves, and what we're bringing forward to everyone else. Because bottom line, as long as you are kind, as long as you are supportive, as long as you are encouraging and as long as you are honest. That is what matters, right? All the little things add up to make you and incredible. The things that matter are how you treat someone else. The things that matter are your honesty, your integrity, your support for other people, your encouragement. That's what matters, right? Bottom line. All those other things are what make you amazing, what make you special, what make you stand out, what make you different. And you need to celebrate those things instead of looking at those as negative pieces, instead of letting those hold you back, instead of letting yourself beat yourself up for those things. I want you to think of them as gifts. I want you to bring those forward and love that about yourself. And just remember that as you're bringing it forward, like, this is me. This is what makes me me. And the more we bring ourselves forward, the more we do so in a loving and kind way for ourselves, the happier we are. The happier we are and bring that excitement forward to other people, the more they respond around us as well. And let's be honest, everyone kind of feeds on everyone else, right? They always say, happiness is contagious. And it is. It's pretty hard to be negative, find the negative when you're around somebody who's super happy. And I'm not saying you have to be happy all the time, positive all the time. I am just saying, really focus on that, on saying, this is me. This is what makes me me. Own it, love it, appreciate it, bring it forward to everyone. Don't hide it. That is the big thing. Don't pretend to be who you're not. Own who you are and bring it forward. That is my cup of coffee. Life deep lessons are life lessons for today, because that kind of came up and I was like, whoa, but we're all so different and we all have our own things, quirks, whatever you want to call it, about ourselves that maybe we're like, I don't necessarily love that part about myself. And then we want to question it. And then we think that there's an issue with it, right? Well, there's not. And bring it forward. And the more you bring everything forward in a happy way, in a way that you love yourself, you let go of judgment, you will be shocked at how you feel, but then also what you're creating around you, right? Because again, it's how you treat other people. If you are kind and you are excited and you are happy, it swirls around you. Everyone around you feels it, sees it, and appreciates it. So I challenge you, be kind to yourself, love yourself, and bring your true self forward as we move in together. Oh, you said you have no idea how much I needed to hear this. Yay! Oh, thank you so much. We have to be our biggest cheerleaders. Absolutely. But here's the other thing, be a cheerleader for someone else too, right? I will share with you, there are certain words and things that kind of catch, right? That I pick up on, that I notice. And then I always try to come back with, that, hey, wait, hold on a second. We all have our stuff. Or, hey, you're amazing. So not only be your best cheerleader, because we have to be a cheerleader for someone else, because that is what changes the world. That is what changes how someone is feeling. That is what changes relationships. That is what changes communities. Because I feel like we are blessed at Lady Jeepers to have one of the best communities out there, one of the best communities of amazing women all together, because everyone is everyone's cheerleader. We all need a cheerleader some days. But if we can start doing that for ourselves, then you can turn around and do that for someone else. That is powerful. That is what creates changes. And that is what changes the world, right? Because what is better than people cheering for each other, supporting each other, and saying, like, you are amazing. You are fantastic. You can do anything. And you are so special and unique. And when it's hard to remember that, I invite you to remember that idea of look at how many Jeeps there are. Look at how many Jeeps there have been. There are so many options and choices and differences, but they are all special and they're all unique. And that's what I want you to remember. If you ever have that place where you're like, ugh, this is hard, right? This is hard for me. Start judging yourself. Just remember that because sometimes it's easier to take a step back. Look at that idea of, well, you're right. There are so many different Jeeps and choices, and they're all so different. And, but they're all amazing. So are we, and so are you. So sometimes being able to step back and look at these Jeep lessons, our life lessons can be so powerful because it's so easy to love every Jeep out there because they're amazing. Now we need to turn that around and we need to do that for each other and for ourselves. So remember, new growth, new love. It is time to shift into that season of loving yourself and supporting others. So as we start to grow forward, I invite you to work on your self-love, growing yourself forward, and then helping others around you to grow and to flourish as well. Don't worry, we'll be getting back to our Jeep education next week. Being weird is amazing. Being the same is boring. I agree. Being normal takes too much energy. Absolutely. And I see the extroverted introvert. I understand that one. I understand that one. She said sometimes she can't always find her words. So much greatness on here. I'm glad you needed to hear this. Oh, I love Lady Jeepers because they are so supportive, encouraging. Love Jeep Life. I love it. You ladies are just fantastically amazing. We have to purpose to be our own. We will say the most horrible things to ourselves, judge ourselves in so many terrible ways, and we would never do that to somebody else, like a friend, right? All right, ladies, I jumped on here quickly today for our cup of coffee with Kristin. I feel like this was important to share. A lot of times when something will come up for me personally, I love to bring that forward and share it with you because I believe if something sticks with me, there's a reason. And I feel like there's a reason I need to share it. So you will notice that throughout the weeks, months, years, I try to bring in little pieces of life experiences and personal growth and development forward because not only we're working on our Jeep, we're working on ourselves. And then when we put that together, incredibly amazing things happen. The adventures, the way that life shifts and changes, the things we get to do, but how we feel about those experiences. Because let's be real, right? We need to live our best lives. We need to be doing those things for ourselves now. The things that fill us with joy, the things that fill us with excitement, that really make life worth living. So I invite you to make your year to focus on you, your year to focus on relationships, but your year to focus on living your life, taking those risks and those adventures, doing those things, not putting anything off, and really just driving forward, focused on that. So I can't wait to see what the rest of the year holds for you. Can't wait to jump back on with you. You are going to rock it and you are going to be amazing. She said she's ramping up her confidence level to tackle Windrock. Woohoo! So we have the extravaganza event. And if you haven't already signed up, jump over to ladyjeepers.com. This is our once a year huge extravaganza event. There's nothing like it anywhere else. So if you haven't checked it out, just jump over to ladyjeepers.com, look at upcoming live events. And if you're on the fence, this is the year. Do it. Take the adventure. Get out there. I can't wait. So much excitement. All right, ladies, thank you for jumping on here with me. I always enjoy spending time with you. And I love our cup of coffees with Kristin every Wednesday. Be back on here every Wednesday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we will jump on to focus on a specific aspect for you and your Jeep. I can't wait to see you again next Wednesday. Hope to see you live and in person at one of our amazing events this year. All right, everyone, have a fantastic rest of your Wednesday and a fantastic week. Can't wait to see you again next Wednesday. Bye, everybody.